In the quiet, dark streets of Georgia, two former Navy SEALs, Michael and Russell, sat inside a dimly lit room. They were talking about their next big job, with Russell's ex-cop brother Gabe listening intently. Their target was a bank-safe deposit box holding crucial information linked to a powerful Jewish-Russian mafia boss. To pull off this dangerous theft, they knew they'd need help from corrupt cops, so they arranged to meet with officers Marcus and Franco to plan everything carefully. Meanwhile, across town, Irina, a ruthless Russian crime lady, met with two of her men. They had just brought in their latest victims, hidden inside the trunk of their car. The victims had clearly been tortured. They were battered, bloodied, and broken. One of Irina's men handed her a bag filled with teeth, which she threw into the trunk. The trunk was locked tight afterward, sealing away the evidence of their brutal work. 2 weeks later, the gang was preparing for the heist inside a van. Russell was behind the wheel as his friends loaded weapons and masks. He parked around the corner from the bank. Then the team stormed in. They fired shots into the air to scare the guards, rushing to overpower them. The alarm had already sounded, giving the thieves only 3 minutes before the police arrived. Gabe saw the bank manager trying to run and took off after him. He cornered the man and used a tough approach, showing him pictures of his home and family to force him to cooperate. The manager was frightened and quickly opened the vault, revealing the secret number. The thieves took out the keys, but Michael pushed the manager aside, insisting he open the safe himself. Nearby, Gabe found some cash and stuffed it into his bag before they sealed the box back up. With the loot secured, they locked the vault door and threw the keys back to the terrified manager. Gabe was the first to leave, slipping into a car to hide. Russell, meanwhile, kept tapping into the police scanner to guide his friends out safely. As they exited, Michael threw 2 flashbang grenades at the vault door, causing the workers inside to scatter and hide. The gang jumped into their getaway car, with Russell navigating their route through the police radio. For a while, everything went smoothly. But suddenly a security dye pack hidden among the stolen money exploded inside their bag. Bright red smoke filled the car, blinding everyone inside. They struggled to open the windows, but in their panic they accidentally hit another vehicle, causing a crash that blocked the street. Russell was left behind, injured and trapped. The others fled the scene, opening fire to clear the area. They hit a man's window who refused to leave, forcing him out. Russell watched from a distance and saw a woman wounded in the chaos, something that wasn't supposed to happen. The thieves managed to steal a new vehicle and activate a bomb inside their previous one, fleeing before it exploded. Police arrived soon after, and Russell slipped away, badly hurt. Later, the gang dumped all the stained equipment and evidence in a secluded spot. Officers Marcus and Franco scolded Gabe for taking the money, believing it was bait meant to trap foolish thieves. Franco even drew his gun, but Michael quickly warned him to put it away. Once the mess was cleaned up, they set fire to their abandoned car, shooting its gas tank and igniting it. They disappeared into the night, leaving chaos behind. Later, Michael headed to a meatpacking plant where Irina's men were transporting their victims in meat trucks. He handed them the stolen safe deposit box, ending that part of their mission. Meanwhile, Detective Allen arrived at the bank to investigate the robbery. He scolded the bank manager for posting too much on social media, which may have tipped off the thieves. At the police station, Allen's nephew, Chris, a former Marine, started his first day on the force. Soon after, Marcus showed up and noticed a strange dye stain on his shoe and pants, evidence of their recent crime. The commanding officer paired Chris with Marcus, who complained about having to babysit a rookie, but he was ignored. The two patrol the town, mostly dealing with petty problems, nothing serious enough to matter much. At home, Michael used a burner phone to call Franco, telling him they'd meet in 2 days. He then burned the SIM card in the microwave, erasing all traces. Later, at the meat plant, Michael was searched and then allowed to meet with Irina. Her nephew, Felix, ran up and hugged Michael, revealing he was Michael's son. Michael was expecting to be paid for the last job, but Irina told him there was another, more important one first. When he tried to refuse, she warned him not to see Felix again. Irina then revealed her boss, her husband, a powerful Jewish-Russian mafia leader, was currently in a Russian jail. He was furious when he learned Michael wouldn't cooperate and told Irina to hurt him. That night, Michael received a call from Russell urgently requesting a meeting. As Russell got into his car, a thug from Irina's crew appeared behind him and suffocated him with a plastic bag. Russell's screams faded, and he collapsed, badly wounded. Michael and the others quickly gathered. An argument erupted over Irina's failure to pay. She claimed the last money was bait, meant to trap thieves. Suddenly, they saw Russell's car crashing into a wall, and they rushed to help him. The scene was grim. Russell had severe wounds and he was bleeding out. Marcus tried to hold Gabe back from rushing in, but Michael was devastated and had to make a heartbreaking choice. He shot Russell to end his suffering. Desperate, Michael tried calling Irina, using her sister Elena's phone and later her sister herself, but both refused to answer. Meanwhile, Detective Alan and Trina watched footage from the robbery. They could tell some of the thieves had military training, making the case even more dangerous. The next morning, the group brainstormed their next move, a daring heist at the Department of Homeland Security. They only had 10 minutes. Police would be there in 3. Franco suggested a bold plan. They could kill a cop to divert all police attention to that incident, a move called a 999. Marcus hesitated. Killing a fellow officer was risky, but Franco was eager to do it. After some debate, they agreed it was their only shot. Later, Marcus and Chris responded to a brutal crime scene. A burned-out car with 3 severed heads on top of another vehicle. Chris proved himself by translating a threatening message on the glass, showing he wasn't just a rookie. He then interrogated gang members, but Luis insulted him and tried to attack. Chris managed to block him and arrested him, leading to the rest of the gang's arrest. Marcus pulled Chris aside, angry about how risky his move was. Meanwhile, Elena brought Felix to see Michael. They arrived late, and Michael knew Irina was behind it. The next day, Michael dropped Felix back at Irina's. Before leaving, he confronted her about Russell's death. She was cold and told him to focus on their next job. Later, the gang met at a sauna to plan their next move. Marcus warned them their target should be Chris, that Detective Allen would move his entire department to protect his nephew. Gabe was uneasy, worried about killing an innocent person. He begged to change the plan, but Michael snapped at him, insisting they had no choice. He pushed Gabe out of the car, the tension thick enough to cut. The next day, Alan meets with someone involved in the naughty business. He hands her some money as a bribe and learns a shocking secret. A girl named Leah, who works as a prostitute, had taken too many uppers. Because of this, she spilled a secret. Her boyfriend had just committed a bank robbery. Meanwhile, Marcus and Chris are in the gang's territory, trying to gather information. Marcus talks to some locals, asking questions about the gang, while Chris scolds 2 young gang members for their reckless lifestyle. He tells them to go back to school and stop living the dangerous life they've chosen. Later, the 2 follow a criminal known as Termite, the main suspect in a recent murder. They watch him act strangely, pretending a bag of illegal powder is a baby and moving it around in a baby carriage. Eventually, he hides the bag in a car and drives away. Chris quickly calls in a team of police officers to search Termite's apartment. Before they can get inside, Termite opens fire from a window, forcing the officers to shoot back. They rush up the stairs, break down the door, and find Termite firing at them again. He runs into another room to avoid being shot, but the police surround the building. Inside, they find Termite's baby sleeping on a bed. When they open a closet, they discover a hidden hole in the wall leading to the neighboring apartment. That's where Termite keeps his security cameras and illegal goods, but he's not there. The team heads downstairs, only to be shot at again by Termite, who runs off into the streets. As police chase after him, gang members like Luis start firing at the officers to protect their friend. Gunfire erupts everywhere, with cars breaking windows and police returning fire. Some gang members are forced to run, while Chris and Marcus continue firing at Termite, who keeps running. Suddenly, a gun falls to the ground, empty. Chris steps out of hiding, realizing it's a trick. Termite has a second gun, and he shoots Chris before escaping again. Marcus rushes to help Chris, who's okay thanks to his bulletproof vest. Marcus then chases after Termite, but gets momentarily stuck in a fence. When he's free, Chris joins him, and they find Termite fighting over a gun. Chris waits for the right moment and shoots Termite in the head. Marcus, angry, shoots him again out of frustration. Termite's death sparks a riot in town, and more police arrive to arrest gang members. Meanwhile, Michael's at a restaurant with Irina, waiting to meet Felix. But Irina says Felix isn't coming and hands Michael her phone. On the screen, he sees Elena and Felix relaxing on the beaches of Tel Aviv. He barely gets to say a quick hello before the call ends. Irina's move is deliberate, a reminder of who's in control. She gives Michael crucial details about the Department of Homeland Security building, telling him they have only 24 hours to finish their task. How well they do will decide how long Felix stays on vacation. Back home, Gabe is sinking into depression over his brother's death. He's spiraling, making his addiction worse with Leah's company. Later, Chris and Marcus are at a naughty club with other officers when Gabe approaches Marcus asking to talk. Marcus pretends to go along, taking Gabe outside. But then, Marcus suddenly pushes him down some steps and punches him hard. Furious that Gabe dared approach him in front of other cops, Gabe protests, talking about the plan and saying Marcus wouldn't hurt an innocent cop. But Marcus, overwhelmed with anger, keeps punching him. Just then, Chris and another officer come out, suspicious. Gabe asks if Marcus is okay, but Marcus forces him to leave. Chris demands an explanation, and Marcus claims Gabe was just a source for information in the past. Meanwhile, Alan is following leads to Leah's house. He even takes some of the powder from her place, testing her fingerprints and discovering Gabe was a cop for 3 years before being dismissed for questionable shootings. Alan sets a trap he arranges for a fake dealer to meet Leah and catch her trying to buy more drugs. When Leah shows up at his car, Alan consumes some of her powder, and she shares a secret: Gabe's involvement. Soon, Gabe is tracked by Trina, who finds him parked near Chris's house. She reports this to Alan, who immediately calls for backup. Hearing sirens, Gabe panics, jumps over a fence, and tries to escape. Alan rushes to check on Chris and his family. He shows them a picture of Gabe, asking if they know him. Suddenly, Alan gets a call with more news. Gabe's brother, Russell, worked with a man named Michael as private military contractors. They were suspected of smuggling arms with the Russian mafia, but the case was dropped after witnesses mysteriously disappeared. The connection links Gabe and Russell to Irina, and Alan's captain orders them to go after her. Later, Franco calls Michael, asking him to do something about Gabe because he's under surveillance. Meanwhile, Gabe hides in a hotel receiving a picture of Leah, wounded and tied up. He calls the number, learning Michael has kidnapped her. Michael threatens to kill Leah if Gabe doesn't disappear immediately. Terrified, Gabe promises to leave town, and Michael, angry, ends the call, throwing the phone into the toilet. The next day, Alan learns from Trina and other officers that Gabe has vanished. They also find out Michael hasn't been at his apartment for days, and their court warrant to surveil Irina was denied. Frustrated, Alan snaps at his team, demanding better results. Sometime later, Franco and Michael sit in a van outside the Homeland Security offices. Meanwhile, Marcus takes Chris to an abandoned building, claiming it's to meet an informant, but the place is dark and empty. When Chris searches a room, he loses contact with Marcus. He starts looking for him, just as Luis enters with a gun. In another part of the building, Marcus breaks down, overwhelmed with guilt. Chris keeps searching and finds Gabe, who tries to explain the plan, but Chris yells at him to put the gun down. Suddenly, Luis finds them and opens fire. Gabe warns Chris, who quickly hides just before Luis jumps out a window and escapes. Chris finds Gabe shot in the neck. He calls for backup and yells to get Marcus's attention. Marcus arrives just in time, gun ready to shoot Gabe and himself. Gabe, seeing this, opens fire, and both shoot each other at the same time. Chris rushes in, firing to finish off Gabe and checking on Marcus, who's badly hurt. Chris calls the station, announcing a 999, a code for officers in grave danger. Hearing this, Michael and Franco drive their van to the police station. They shoot the guard at the gate, tie him up, and sneak inside using a secret password Irina gave them. Moving quietly through the building, they take out guards with electric shells, tie them up, and prepare explosives. Meanwhile, Alan learns about the 999 call and fears Chris is in danger. He orders the entire police station to move out and drives like crazy toward the scene, hitting other cars along the way. He receives a call about a home security robbery but ignores it, convinced Chris is his priority. His reckless driving only makes things worse, and he keeps rushing to the scene, determined to save his team. Back to Michael and Franco. They carefully place explosives on the bodies of the guards and use them as shields to move through the building. The other guards see them but can't shoot because just one bullet could set off the bombs. Michael and Franco force the guards to cooperate, even threatening them. They end up blowing off one hostage's leg in the process. A terrified guard explains they can't help because the vault is on a time lock they can't open. Deciding to push forward, Michael and Franco plant explosives on the door and manage to blow it open. Michael quickly opens the safe with a blowtorch, while Franco hears on the radio that a call has been sent out for them. That means they only have 7 minutes left to finish the job. Luckily, the safe opens fast and they grab what they need just in time. Without wasting a second, they rush out of the building with their hostages. Outside, a SWAT team is nearby, watching them jump into a van. As soon as Michael and Franco speed away, the guards with the explosives open fire. Both men are hit, but they still manage to escape. Franco makes a quick call to his boss, claiming he's heard about a 999 and says he'll be there soon. Meanwhile, at an abandoned building, a helicopter arrives to take Marcus to the hospital. During the chaos, Alan crashes his car into others and rushes to check on his nephew, Luis. He learns Luis has been surrounded by SWAT. Chris also mentions he saw Gabe at a bar a few days earlier. Later, Franco shows up to help with the investigation. Alan notices Franco is limping and gets suspicious. That evening, Michael meets Irina and gives her a stolen box, which she opens with a stolen key from the bank. Michael then demands to see his son, yelling at Irina. Her guards react quickly. Michael punches one down and checks the car. It's empty. Another guard knocks him down, stepping on his hand, then shoots a gun near his ear, leaving him temporarily deaf. Irina admits she really wants to kill Michael, but says Elena and Felix would never forgive her. She begs him to take the money and leave, forbidding him from seeing Felix again. Michael has a gift for his son, so Irina agrees to give it to Felix as a farewell. After she and her men drive away, Michael activates a hidden explosive in the toy. It blows up Irina's car. He then drives past the burning wreck to make sure everyone inside is dead. At the hospital, a cop tells Chris that Luis was killed by SWAT. Chris visits Luis's belongings in the morgue and finds a note with the address and time of the abandoned building. It shows Luis was there to kill Chris. Moments later, Michael gets pulled over by a cop, but it's just Franco. Michael confirms Irina finally paid them, and Franco says Marcus is alive but promises to kill him like he did Leah. Without warning, Franco pulls out his gun and shoots Michael 3 times, killing him and stealing all the money. The next day, Chris goes to the gang's neighborhood to ask around. He learns Marcus was seen talking to Luis on the day he was shot. Chris then visits Alan, suggesting Marcus set him up to be killed. Alan agrees but says they have no proof. Soon, Alan gets a call saying Leah's body has been found, and he shares his new theory. The 4th guy is a corrupt cop trying to hide the evidence. Later, Alan calls Trina, asking her to check records to find out which officer found Leah's body. Meanwhile, Chris visits Marcus in the hospital, but he just insults him. Franco then arrives, telling Chris they still need a full statement at the police station. As they head to the elevator, Chris gets a call from Alan, warning him that Franco is corrupt. Chris quickly pretends it's his wife and hangs up. When they reach the parking lot, they split up to get to their cars. Franco gets in his car and notices a tie hanging from the mirror, and sees Alan in the back seat. Both men immediately draw their guns and shoot at each other. Franco is shot and dies instantly. Alan is badly wounded. Chris hears the shots and makes a call, while Alan smokes a cigarette, leaving it unclear whether he survives or not. And to not be unclear if your binge continues, I recommend you click on my nice recaps on the right next. Consider subscribing for future uploads. I upload every other day. As always, grab your popcorn, enjoy yourself, and see you soon, my friend. Bye.